hour of his death, he is made an object of worship, a proletarian saint. For many, he has come to symbolize the old yearning for a better future. His teachings become holy writ, his bier an altar, his mausoleum a shrine. Among the mourners, Party Secretary Stalin, whom Lenin had learned to distrust when he was sick and dying. But Stalin, a man little known to the Russian people, controls the all-powerful machinery of the all-powerful Communist Party. Born Yosif Vissarionovich Djugashvili, son of a Caucasian cobbler, one-time student for the priesthood, muscle man of the revolutionary underground, veteran of Siberian exile, it is Joseph Stalin who wins the devious political struggle to succeed Lenin and become master of Russia. And with Stalin comes still more change. Lenin's new economic policy is scrapped, and it is Stalin who launches Russia on a massive program of industrialization to make up by brute sweat and sheer sinew for the backwardness of centuries. Prison labor, supplied and supervised by the secret police, becomes an integral part of the scheme. Under the forced draft of the several five-year plans, iron, steel, armaments, heavy industry make enormous strides at enormous human cost. But the workers who survive cannot eat heavy industry, they cannot wear it, they cannot live in it. Forced collectivization of agriculture matches the forced industrialization of the city. With the old incentives gone, the peasants' initiative goes with them. Agricultural crisis follows agricultural crisis, despite mechanization. Land for the peasants was the revolutionary cry. Now the state has all the land, all the equipment, all the produce. Become centers of political as well as agricultural control. The peasant has been brought under the direct supervision of the party, whose agents rule the farm and those on it. The state is everywhere. For those who resist the state, the hand of the state is heavy, merciless. 5 million kulaks, farmers who wish to maintain their independence and prosper outside the collectives, have burned their grain and killed their cattle rather than submit to regimentation. For them, Stalin decrees mass annihilation, deportation to Siberia, uprooting of whole communities, mass liquidation. Of the kulaks, with the burning of grain and the killing of cattle, famine again stalks the land. Famine that is created by the state. Calculated catastrophe. Disaster by design. And 5 million more human beings die. Convince them, said Dostoevsky's Grand Inquisitor, that they can become really free only when they renounce their freedom in our favor and submit to us. Is he indulging in irony? Is he sneering? Not in the least. He is claiming as a meritorious service on the part of himself and his kind their having at last won the contest against freedom and having done so in order to make men happy. Nivolya has returned. The mass surrender of personal will and freedom to the little father, once Nicholas, now Stalin. Stalin means steel, and Stalin welds himself onto the sainted Lenin, onto the Messiah Marx, and unto himself bestows apostolic rank by usurpation and by a new mythology which uses the retroactive lie. Paintings are repainted, books are rewritten. All the arts are marshaled to eradicate the memory of vanished rivals and to deify himself. There is only one living God, Stalin. And yet, Karl Marx wrote, "I hate all gods." Gods must be, Stalin too is suspicious, uneasy. In a series of bloodthirsty purges, the revolutionary terror turns inward, inside itself, against the men who made the revolution. In trial after trial, in 1936, in 1937, in 1938, Stalin uses his courts to grind down and blot out the last vestiges of personal opposition. Real, imagined, fabricated. The charges: conspiracy to murder Stalin, spying for foreign powers, treason. Chief Prosecutor Vyshinsky: I do not believe in abstract justice. I demand these mad dogs be shot. Who are these mad dogs? Thousands of old Bolsheviks, including Kamenev, Zinoviev, Yatakov, Smirnov, Bukharin, comrades and collaborators of Lenin, men who made the Communist Party and the Communist Revolution. Now, the party demands their lives. Now, the revolution devours its own. The sentences? The old Bolsheviks too must die. And as they go, do they hear the song they used to sing? Arise, ye slaves who know starvation. Shake off the curse that binds the earth. Our reason boils with indignation and makes us die to gain new birth. Do they hear? Emerging from the Kremlin fortress, the victor, Stalin, who tells the Russians, there is not and never was in all the world such a strong authoritative power as the Soviet power. But another leader has built another authoritarian state, and Hitler tells the Germans, the ideas by which we are governed are diametrically opposed to those of Soviet Russia. Our task is to destroy Marxism. We will fight it to the death. And Stalin tells the Russians, it is quite possible, of course, that there are madmen in Germany who dream of annexing the Soviet Ukraine. If there are really such lunatics in Germany, rest assured that we shall find enough straitjackets for them in our country. And Hitler tells the Germans, Bolshevism is the most malignant poison that can be given to a people. Any treaty connections with the present Russian government would be completely worthless. August 23rd, 1939. Tis time for fear when tyrants seem to kiss. Stalin's comrade Molotov and Hitler's Herr von Ribbentrop signed their so-called Friendship Pact in the Kremlin. Hitler has his green light for World War II. Stalin has switched it on. Fascist Germany and Communist Russia meet again, this time over the corpse of Poland, the corpse of peace. Like two vultures eyeing one another, they consume the spoils. But the cynicism that makes such alliances is the same cynicism that destroys them. June 22nd, 1941, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics reels under the sudden shock of German invasion. along the 1,000-mile front, the Russians dissolve in the heat of the German assault. Hitler's panzers devour the country faster than they can digest it. 2 million Red Army prisoners in the first 4 months of battle. Another million in the next 4. Whole divisions, whole armies collapse, surrender. Much more than the military fronts disintegrate with the steady advance of the German Wehrmacht into Russia. The propaganda front collapses as well. The myth of the people's devotion to communism. In the land of the workers and peasants greet the Germans as liberators. At long last, the time is at hand when their land, their lives, will once again be their own. See the conquering hero come. Sound the trumpets, beat the drum. Army of Liberation, led by the disillusioned Red Lieutenant General Blazin. In the greatest mass defection in military history, approximately 1 million captured soldiers from all regions of the Soviet Union volunteered to fight against their own countrymen for the destruction of the communist regime and for the independence of their various states which comprised the Soviet Union. Now the people learn the cruel truth. The Germans do not come as liberators, they come as plunderers to exploit and ravage the Russian land. They come as the master race, warring on those they consider inferior, the Russian people. The gun of the Nazi replaces the fist of the Commissar. An alien despotism surpasses the native despotism in red. Bondage changes color, but bondage remains. Tyranny, terror, torture, ever routine in the age-old life of Russia, remain routine. Behind the German line. The enormity of the German blunder can be measured by the pitiless, relentless guerrilla warfare waged against them. The incensed, the enraged, rally to the aid of Mother Russia. Patriotism wells up in the fury that has saved Russia before in centuries gone by against Mongol, Tartar, and Pole, Swede, and Frenchman. Now, in the 20th century, the Russians strike again and again and again, not for Marx or Lenin or Stalin, for one another, for Mother Russia. admits his people are not fighting for a system, they are fighting for their soil. The struggle against the Germans becomes the Great Patriotic War, and at Stalingrad the Russian soldier makes his historic stand. In many battles, in many places, aided by his allies, the United States and England, through months of savage combat, the Russian soldier first holds the German, then stops him, then encircles him, then annihilates him, unless he surrenders. Surrender the Germans do, unconditionally. Stalin has told his people that their battle was part of the struggle of the peoples of Europe and America for their independence and democratic freedom. It is 1945, and World War II is over. Yet tears to human suffering are due, and mortal hopes defeated and o'erthrown are mourned by man, and not by man alone. Magnetic core of an empire more powerful, more vast than any dream of any czar. And Stalin, his associates, his party, after the war, stronger than ever before. Supreme Soviet of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics basks in the reflected glory of recent victory. In the name of the dictatorship of the proletariat, the 3% who are the Communist Party hold unbridled sway over Russia's muted 97%. And over all newly enchained satellites. Leaving behind a trail of broken treaties and broken promises, the Russian government forsakes its Western allies to make impregnable its position at home and to ferment world revolution abroad. To perpetuate the gospel according to Stalin, the one true faith which all must profess, the secular priests of the new orthodoxy school and discipline their missionaries in the scriptures of communism, where society's irrevocable laws are laid down and the new morality is taught. Everything which promotes the revolution is moral, everything that hinders it is immoral. Usually, in this new religion, truth is spoken with hatred and falsehood with love. According to the Russian scientist Pavlov, men are more influenced by words than by the facts of surrounding reality. No human being is beyond reach of the state. Its political police, its agents, its evangelists. Propaganda is the opium of the people. The party tells the people it has made them free, happy, prosperous, as no people has ever been. The world is hostile, envious, and seeks to destroy it. Outside, all is misery, poverty, and despair. Here, and here alone, is the promised land. Vigilant, unsleeping, the Kremlin looms over the promised land as master and warden, casting a lengthening shadow that stretches from mid-Europe to the China Sea. An empire governed by a new aristocracy, the elite of the Communist Party. The land of workers and peasants breeds a ruling class of its own, in which bureaucrat and technician assume the ancient roles of nobleman and overlord. The ranking and titled are privileged and feared. The revolutionary dream of a classless society is banished by official ukase. Says Stalin, social equality is a petty bourgeois absurdity, unworthy of a socialist society on Marxist lines. In the great hours of man's life, in many a lesser hour in between, simple people in Russia still look to their priest, not to their commissar. people since the beginning of recorded time have seen despots come and go. Century after century, a tyrant from the Kremlin has oppressed their lives, powerless to quench their faith. The Tsar is dead. Lenin is dead. And now, Stalin is dead. New tyrants come, but the people and their faith endure. The state, knowing no creed but blind obedience, demands a captive mind, a captive spirit, a captive body. It must forever barricade its borders against the infection of freedom from without, against the escape to freedom from within. Russia isolates herself, blinding the world to the realities of the workers' paradise, and blinding the workers of that paradise to the realities of the world. As Lenin said, we have never rejected the principle of terror, and we can never do so. First came the Cheka, with its motto, "The Cheka does not judge, it strikes." Then came the GPU and the OGPU, the NKVD and the MVD, and then came the MGB. Ever-changing colorless initials, which all mean secret police, which mean terror, conscious and subconscious, which mean the power of reality, a nightmare in red. My father chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. An ancient prophecy comes true. Power, like a desolating pestilence, pollutes whate'er it touches. And obedience, bane of all genius, virtue, freedom, truth, makes slaves of men, and of the human frame, a mechanized automaton. But the party, the cause, is not interested in man as man. No matter who may head the state is interested in itself, and only in itself. For those who will not yield, Siberia, invisible Russia, land of the white death. The wolf has eaten them, the people say, and their names are crossed from the book of life. Land of white death, where dreams of bygone days shrivel into desperation. But through the shroud of evil is heard always again the solace of Russia's greatest hope. Deep in the Siberian mind, keep your patience proud. The bitter toil shall not be lost. The rebel thought unbowed, the heavy hanging aims will fall.